Hello everyone, I'm John Evans, and welcome to another episode of One on One. Solomon Harvey has represented Wilmington several times on the national stage. He made it to the finals of the American Ninja Warrior TV show in 2014, went back onto the show in 2015, and then was part of a 5-person team from Wilmington that advanced to the finals of the Spartan Ultimate Team Challenge TV show in 2016. Solomon is now using his athletic ability and his martial arts expertise, trying to grow his career as a stuntman in TV shows and movies. He's a great story, moving to North Carolina as a child with his mother.
I was actually born in California. I grew up in Compton in LA. And when I was about 10 years old, my mom decided to pick up and move to Wilmington. They were opening a TGI Fridays, and she was a waitress there at the time. They offered her a manager position, and she said, "Yeah, I want to get my kids out of the ghetto." And she moved us out to Hampstead.
And so, how much of a transition? You were 4 at the time.
I was 10 when I.
You were 10.
Yes.
So how much of a transition was that for you? A place you'd grown up, and all of a sudden, I know that you had water nearby.
Yep.
But how much of a transition going from one coast to the other as a 10-year-old?
It was very different. As a 10-year-old, I didn't really understand why we were moving, or I didn't know where North Carolina was when she told me that we were moving. I was like, "Are we moving to Northern California? Where are we going?" And then when we got here, it was drastically different. It was the country instead of the city. There were no sidewalks, and that blew my mind. Everyone talked a little different. They said road instead of street and things like that. And it was definitely a lot to get used to.
Was it? You said you grew up in Compton. Obviously, it has a reputation for being a very difficult place to grow up in. Was it, Mom tell you, maybe a life-saving move for you?
Absolutely. A story I've told more than once. I actually got into one of my first fist fights at Little League tryouts when I was probably about 6 years old. And that was definitely not the last time. Things happened constantly where, kids from around the neighborhood got into fights and arguments, and it was definitely not a rare occurrence to hear gunshots throughout the day, throughout the night, and things like that. So it was for sure a good move on my mom's part.
And obviously, I would think you probably said thank you more than 1,000,000 times for getting you to this community specifically, but getting out of that community.
Most definitely, I can never thank her enough.
When did you start to get into working out? Because you martial arts training from a very young age, correct?
Yes. One of the first things my mom did to kind of help discipline me and also put me on the right path was I started martial arts when I was 4 years old. I started American kickboxing. And then as I grew, I progressed through that with American kickboxing, through karate, and then judo and jiu-jitsu, and so on and so forth. I've probably studied 10 different martial arts at this point.
Why?
Well, funny enough, I was a huge Ninja Turtle fan when I was a kid. Massive Ninja Turtle fan. I was a Ninja Turtle probably 5 years in a row growing up. And my mom saw that as a good outlet for me. So I started doing martial arts and started working out and really training my body and mind. And, thanks to the Pizza Loving Ninja Turtles, I became the athlete I am today.
But it's also, people may think it's you want to do it to protect yourself, but it's also a discipline, and it teaches you. I took a couple of years of martial arts myself when I was a young teen, and the discipline it gives you, to me, was well beyond anything I got physically out of it.
Most definitely, and transitioning from an area where I had to be vigilant and make sure that I watched my back and had to defend myself to a peaceful area where things like that didn't really happen. If they happened, then not very often. I needed that to sort of discipline myself and kind of calm that sort of heightened paranoia I had been in as a 10-year-old, walking down the halls at school or walking around the neighborhood. Mm-hmm. I had to change my outlook and my point of view. And martial arts definitely helped me do that. It helped me find a center and a calm.
What did you want to do growing up? Obviously, in martial arts, you worked out, you played sports, obviously. What did a young Solomon want to do with his life as he was growing up, teenager years in Hampstead, Pender County, and then in Wilmington?
Well, besides from wanting to be a Ninja Turtle, I remember I was probably about the 5th grade, and we were doing assignments where you try and pick a career that you want to do. I told my teacher I wanted to be a stuntman. And she said that it wasn't practical. I should probably pick something that's more realistic. And I was like, okay, that makes sense. And I picked a chef. And I actually worked as a chef for probably about 10 years until I fell into the whole Ninja Warrior thing, and doing Ninja Warrior and then Spartan and getting notoriety, I guess you could say, from that. I was contacted from a friend of mine who knew a stunt coordinator who was shooting in Wilmington, and one thing led to another, and I was working doing stunts on a TV show.
And what was that world like? I know you're still doing that. And where are you now in that world? Trying to transition. I know you go to Atlanta and do some work there. Is it to the point where you almost have to go to Atlanta to do that kind of work full time?
It's at that point now. Wilmington had a bustling film industry. Right. Yeah. Unfortunately, I kind of missed that train. So for me, being relatively new to the world, I have to hustle. I have to, run down to Atlanta to meet stunt coordinators, to go to auditions, just to put myself in front of them. A lot of stunt coordinators don't like to hire people they don't know, don't like to hire people they don't know a lot about. Mm-hmm. I have a very athletic background. I've done a lot of amazing things in my life. However, they don't know that. They know some of them recognize me from American Ninja Warrior, and they're like, okay, cool, you're strong, you're fit, you can do things we need you to do, but I need to see more. So I have to, go out for auditions, do flips in front of people, do, falls, take hits, and do a whole bunch of different things to potentially get a shot at, okay, we're gonna put you in this series. We need a guy to take a fall for this. We need somebody to jump on this moving truck. So it's little things here and there that hopefully lead to bigger things.
I was going to say, an actor can go and say, to be or not to be, but what do you do during an audition? Do they take you out back of the building and say, okay, jump here, jump there, do this or whatever?
Yes, for the most part. There's a lot of, depending on the show, so say there's a lot of action, a lot of fighting. They want to see how well you can sell a fake hit. So they'll take something like a pool noodle, and they're like, okay, we're going to do a 1, 2, 3 hit. We're going to go high, medium, low, and just take those hits the best you can and sell it. Mm-hmm. So we're physical actors. We have to sell punches and kicks, even though they may not be making contact. So it's a lot of that. A lot of, all right, we need to make sure you can fall and not look like you're catching yourself. We have to fall onto the ground or fall onto a mat. It just has to look natural. So it's a lot of walk over there and fall down. It's like, all right, I'm going to shoot you, pretend you got shot, fall down. Right. All right, so how are you with heights? Can you fall off of this balcony and onto a mat? Mm-hmm. It's definitely very physical.
What have you worked on so far that people can maybe dial up and take a look at this project or that project?
I've worked on History Channel 6 that was shot here in town. Also the Divergent series Allegiant that was shot in Atlanta. I recently worked on Black Lightning that was also shot in Atlanta. I worked on a movie that was shot here in town. I don't know how much I can say about that.
Oh, okay, all right. Don't want to divulge anything.
But yeah, you just keep your eye out. I'm definitely doing as much as I can.
And in the credits, is it kind of cool to see your name go through that? I mean, being on TV, it's 33 years now. It's kind of second nature for me. But when you get that credit at the end, what's that like when you're sitting there and sitting and watching it on either a small screen or in a big screen theater?
It's mind-blowing. The first time I was super excited, and it was actually, I think Allegiant was the first thing I did, and I don't even think you saw me in the movie. Like it was a blur, but just to see my name fly by on the credits was absolutely amazing. And the biggest thing for me was when I really started doing stunts, and we are kind of like actors. A lot of times we don't have lines, but we are part of the cast. and we get trailers. So the first time I was ever on a smaller set where, I was billed as a stunt actor, they had, henchman number one, Solomon Harvey, and I had my own trailer, and that was like, I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. It wasn't as big or as fancy as like the actor's trailer, but it was something private for me that I could sit in and collect myself and figure out what I needed to do for the day.
When did the desire to do Ninja Warrior come up? Because you were on, I think, season 5, right?
Season 6 and season 7.
Okay, season 6 and 7. Did you watch the first 3 or 4 years and say, I can do that? Or how did it all come about?
I actually remember watching the show Ninja Warrior before it was American Ninja Warrior, the original Japanese show, when it was on, I think, G4, the network, and I was like, oh my God, this is so amazing. I am never going to be able to go to Japan and do this, but I wish I could. This is absolutely amazing. And actually, my brother and I, we've always planned on taking a trip to Japan, and we've actually studied Japanese and trying to get the language down just so we can go. And then they came out with the American version. When they did, it was exclusively in California. They only shot the show in California. All the contestants were California or nearby. So season 7 was the first year they had made it nationwide. And I had actually just moved from California back to North Carolina. And the season 6 I had applied for, but I didn't make it. I didn't make the deadline. I didn't get my stuff in on time and didn't make it. But they sent me an email. They were like, hey, we saw your stuff. You didn't make the deadline, but we'd love to get you next season. I was like, okay, cool, thank you. And then I didn't think anything else of it, moved back to North Carolina. I was working at Buffalo Wild Wings, and I get an email from NBC, American Ninja Warrior. It's like, what's going on?
Really?
And again, they were like, hey, just to let you know, tryouts for American Ninja Warrior are underway. You can submit your application, submit a video, and your region would be Miami. I was like, absolutely, let's do this. And me and my friend Dane Britt, we put together a video and submitted my application. And I think it was about 2 weeks later, they called me. I was like, hey, you're going to Miami. Get ready, pack your bags. You're competing on American Ninja Warrior.
What was the video? What was in the video? Did you have to actually do some stunts and show them your abilities on the video?
Yes, they wanted some of the things you could do, and also mainly your personality, because they don't want to put anybody boring on TV. They want something exciting and outgoing personality. So I just said my piece and showed them some of the stuff I do around town to train or keep in shape or have fun, and they liked it. And I went on and competed.
When you go to those kind of things, and do you know what the course is going to look like before you actually try it, or the very first time? Do you know what it's going to be like before you actually get up there and they start rolling or they start your tryouts?
When you get there for the qualifying round, the course is there. They can't really hide it. It's huge.
Right.
So you can kind of take a look around and see it and kind of guess how you're supposed to get through it. But right before you start running, they'll take you through and they'll do rules. There are certain things you can't touch, certain things you can, certain ways they want you to try to go through the obstacle. So they'll go over all that. They're like, don't touch that, don't touch that. You can put your feet on this, don't touch that with your foot. And that's the only real look you get at the course before they're like, all right, get in order, you're running.
Okay.
And for me, we never had a gym around Wilmington to practice any of this stuff. So I just kind of talked with people about it and looked at it and studied and like, okay, what can I do? How am I going to get around this? And once I got up there, I was just like, all right, just go, just run, figure it out on your way.
Yeah.
And something I had seen on TV and never done before was the salmon ladder, the bar where you jump up the rungs.
Yeah.
And I got to that obstacle and I was like, you can kind of see it in my face on the video. I was like, how are we going to do this? And I just went up and grabbed the bar and started kind of trying to move and trying to figure out the best way to get my body from this position up to the next position.
Right.
And it happened to work out.
Do you see others competing, or do they bring one person in at one time?
They try to keep us kind of away from all the action. they don't really mind that we kind of see what's going on here and there, but they also don't want us walking through and just kind of, okay, what's the best way to go about
seeing what
this?
somebody else does, yeah.
So generally our holding area is right at the beginning of the course. So we can see like the quintuple steps or, whatever the first obstacle is, and maybe the next few after that. After that, we can't really see a whole lot. Some of us try to walk up and kind of mingle with the crowd,
right.
and they catch us and put us back in holding. So they want you to cheer on your friends. The thing I like about the community is everybody cheers for everyone. Nobody wants to see anyone fail.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to see everyone succeed, and I love that.
How many times did you do it? I know you finished 4th out of 32 in Miami, right, to qualify for the finals?
Well, it was 4th out of, for the qualifiers, I think there was 120.
Oh, okay. There was more than that then. Okay,
Yes.
all right. How many times did you have to do it? Just that one time, or did you qualifying round and then perform? How did that work?
So the qualifying round is the first, I want to say 6 obstacles up to the warped wall.
Oh, okay.
So they take everyone who gets to the warped wall, if it's enough people, everyone who gets there. If it's not enough people, they'll take the furthest, the fastest. So everyone who gets to the top of the warped wall, boom, you qualify, you make it on to the next round.
Okay.
In the next round, you have to go through the entire course. And from there, they only take 15 finishers, or furthest fastest if they don't have 15 finishers.
Right. And so how long in between attempts do you have? Do you have time to rest and kind of rejuvenate? They don't make you go another 5 minutes right afterwards, do they?
No, it's not 5 minutes. It's actually the next day.
Oh, okay.
However, with the way filming things works, we're there at night. So we start filming once the sun goes down, probably around 8-9 o'clock, and we're there until we're done. So the last time I filmed for Ninja Warrior, I was the last person to run.
Oh.
So I ran at like 6:45 in the morning.
Oh, really?
Yes. So I was the last person to run, got up there, made it through the qualifiers. So now it's, all right, hustle back to the hotel, try and get some sleep, because we got to come right back this evening to do the same thing. And if you can't sleep, after all that adrenaline's pumping, and then once you get there at night, there's hustling and bustling going on. If you can't find a nice quiet place to get some rest, it's very rough.
Now, the video that's still online of you in the finals, you go from Miami, and where do you go for the finals? That's in California?
That is in Las Vegas.
Las Vegas, okay. That whole routine, I guess, and it's probably not the right word, but that whole experience from start to finish, what was it like mentally for you? Was it tougher mentally than it was physically for you to do that entire thing on national TV? And you're in the finals, you got a chance at winning, the grand prize. So I imagine the pressure inside was a little difficult to handle as well.
The pressure before you run is monumental. It's crushing. It's like right before you walk up on that podium, it's, oh my God, your heart's beating, everything's wavy. It's insane. But for me, just like when I fought MMA, when you get there, when you get onto the podium, when they close the cage around you, you can't see or hear anything else. When I'm running the course, I can't hear anybody. Faintly, I might hear, if somebody's yelling my name, I might be able to hear them. But I'm focused, laser focused on what I'm doing at that time. Once I finish, or if I fail, then I can see what's going on around me. But in the moment, I have to focus on what I'm doing.
Yeah, because you, if I remember correctly, and I've seen it a couple of times, I don't believe you really kind of turned around and did any salutes to anybody. I think you were pretty much focused straight forward. Then after the end, after you hit the button or buzzer there, whatever it was, the plunger, I guess, is that what they call it?
Yeah.
Then you turned around and did a little bit of celebrating after that. It seemed like you really didn't look any way except what was in front of you there.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really get distracted. One, you're fighting a clock. You want to be one of the top 15 fastest. Two, the producers don't want you to sit there and wave, and they want you to go. It's a competition. They want you to go, 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 go. They don't even want you to rest. And for me, if I get distracted and then I come back to an obstacle and I'm like, okay, I forgot my plan here, my game plan. I have to refocus, and then now I'm wasting more time because now I have to focus again.
Yeah.
So advice I could give someone, and what I do personally, Focus on the obstacle in front of you. Don't worry about the next obstacle or the one after that till you get there. The people in the crowd, they're still going to be there. If you fail or pass, they're still going to cheer for you.
Yeah.
Don't worry about them. Run your course.
And after you made the finals, didn't come back as the grand champion, but after you made the finals, you came on our newscast. You did a lot of things around town. As you looked at it, you're a competitor. You always want to win, I take it. You made the finals. Was that good enough for you? Were you proud of your performance in that instance?
That's a bit of a double-edged sword. I want to say that I was proud to make it to the finals. That's a big accomplishment.
Sure.
I absolutely love it. Personally, I wanted to win.
Well, yeah.
I was disappointed in myself for not winning. However, coming back, the reception from the community and everyone around, it was very warm. They were proud of me for making it as far as I did. I wish I could have done better, but I have to accept that it didn't happen. Maybe it will happen in the future. It was definitely a learning experience, and I'm proud of what I did. I wish I would have done better.
What did you take away from 2014 then that when you tried out in 2015 made you better, even though you didn't make the finals in 2015?
I had more fun with it in 2014 than in 2015 when I was working out and trying out for season 6, I'm sorry. It was me playing around. It was me messing with my brother and doing wacky and crazy things, and I really enjoyed it. Going into season 7, it was more work. It was okay, I made it to the finals. I have to do better. I have to do better. And the training and everything, it wasn't as fun, and I feel like I was stronger, but less prepared in the way of being spontaneous. Mm-hmm. The way I played before, I was just using my body and moving and having a good time. It was less rigid.
Right.
So when you just train, lift weights, do this, do that, you lose that fluidity. You lose that ability to just freestyle on what you're doing and adapt to different obstacles. Right. And it hurt me, but it was another learning experience.
Sure.
With that, I took that, and when we went into Spartan Ultimate Team Challenge the next year, I made sure anytime we did any training or team building with our team that it was fun. We weren't just, all right, we got to work, we got to do this, we got to do that. It's like, all right, we're going to try to get over this wall. Let's make it happen. And then we'll play around, we'll joke, we'll dance, we'll laugh, we'll sing, and it was so much fun. Yeah. And we did really well.
Yeah, made it to the finals there too. We'll be back with the second part of my podcast interview with Solomon Harvey in just a moment. But first, I'd like to ask you a favor. Please pause this podcast and send me a message to let me know what you think of this episode or any of the others that we've done so far. You can do it one of 3 ways. On Instagram, where I'm John Evans TV, on Twitter, where I'm John Evans WECT, or on Facebook, where I'm John Evans WECT as well. What we're going to do is take the first 10 people who send me messages, pick one of you at random, and we'll send you a WECT travel mug. So be one of the first 10 to send that message either on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook, and you could be the lucky winner of that WECT travel mug. Now, let's get back to part 2 of our podcast interview with Solomon Harvey. What did American Ninja Warrior 2014 and 15, what doors did that open for you?
Well, 2014, when I went down to Miami to compete, I slept in the airport on the couch of one of the rental car offices. So made it down there, went to the course, hung out all day because I didn't have anywhere else to be. That night, competed, got on the train, went back to the airport, slept in the rental car office again till I was woken up at like 7 in the morning by security, and then went back to the course and again hung out, sat around, joked and laughed with people, and then ran the course again. And then in 2015, running for season 7, I had people with me. There was a bunch of friends with me who I worked with who were like, we're so excited for you. We want to go down with you. And we stayed in a hotel room. There was like 6 of us, and it was a good time. We hung out. We went out to eat. It was good to have, people backing me. Mm-hmm. And from that, without Ninja Warrior, I don't think I'd be doing stunts and things where I am now.
Right.
It definitely opened that door. One, people know my name that probably wouldn't have known my name before. Right. People are more likely to hire me because, American Ninja Warrior, I love that show. One of the stunt coordinators I worked with in Atlanta, his wife loves the show. So he was chatting with me about it, and he was like,
immediate connection right there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that in itself opens tons of doors. And hopefully I can continue to use that to network and meet people and get where I want to be.
Spartan Ultimate Team Challenge in 2016. Yourself, Luke, T, Amy, and Amber. You win your first competition. You go to the finals. That was a true team event as opposed to just a Solomon event. So you guys had known each other, though, prior to actually getting together for that, right?
Yes. T. Jackson, Luke Reynolds, we worked together at Defy Gravity at the time, and we became good friends. I had known Amy digitally through Facebook. She followed me throughout all the things I was doing, and she is big into fitness and things, and we would chat from time to time, and we didn't actually meet until I had sent her a message like, hey, there's this show happening. It's a team show. Do you want to do it? Right. And she was friends with Amber and brought her in. So we all got together and started hanging out and training and having a good time. And we all became really close. And that's really what helped us do well in the show. Because since it was a team show, it wasn't just this one person has to get through these obstacles. We had to lean on each other and trust each other. We work together to find out our weaknesses and our strengths so that we could use Luke's strengths to help with T's weaknesses, use T's strength to help with my weaknesses. Right. And just the way everything came about, it was very natural. Nothing was forced, and it really worked in our favor. How did you get on that? Was that another kind of a show that you had to apply for or send a video in for? Yeah, we everyone had to send in an individual video. You could include the team, but you had to make sure that it was self-focused. Like you could have a strong group with one weak link, and it's a team show, so they want to make sure they can feature everybody on your team as part of the show. Mm-hmm. The only difference between our team and most other teams was we knew everyone on our team. For the rest of the teams, they took 4 competitors and they paired them with 1 elite Spartan racer. Our team, all 5 of us were from Wilmington. Amber happened to qualify as an elite Spartan racer because she had done like 10 or so Spartan races beforehand. Okay. So she happened to qualify as our team captain. And it really worked out in our favor. How difficult was it? And I've read a couple of instances, but I want to put this question to you now, is that you tape these things, you're done, they're putting all these things together, you've got to come home, but you can't say a blessed word to anybody about what happens. How difficult is that, especially because you made the finals in Ninja Warrior, you made the championship round in Spartan, so you had some pretty good news that you could have let people know. Yeah, that's one of the hardest things. I kind of try to avoid people whenever I come back from something like that, because win or lose, you can't really say anything. And people ask, hey, how was Ninja Warrior? Oh, it was so much fun, man. You should have been there. It was great. It's like, how'd you do? I got to go. I'm late for something. I'll talk to you later, though. And it's just really hard because, like, my family, my closest friends are like, wait a minute, how'd you do? How did it go? Yeah. I can't tell you. I can't do it. I'm sorry. Because if you say something to somebody else and I'm in trouble, I can't do it. Because you literally sign a legal document, right? Yes. Yeah. Like we sign NDAs and we can't say anything to anyone, and that can definitely hurt your future of competing on the show if you want to do that. And you never want to end up with in legal trouble with
No.
someone like NBC.
No, you do not want to do that. Will you try it again? Will you try Ninja Warrior again, or will you try any of these other new reality shows?
I think I will, if only to sort of selfishly promote myself to do more stunt work. I love the competitions. I love, like I said, the community. But for me, I can't make a career doing Ninja Warrior or Spartan or Ultimate Beastmaster, any of those shows. If I want to provide for myself and my family, I need other avenues. And I really enjoy stunt work. And it's a tool, but I can't let it consume everything I do. Mm-hmm. If I have a stunt job at the same time Ninja Warrior happens, I got to go with the stunt job. Yeah. It's one, it pays.
Is that paying your bills now, the stunt work?
At the moment, yes, it is. Thankfully, thank God, it's paying my bills for now, and hopefully I can keep it going. Hopefully we get more things here in town, and I can stop taking the 12-hour round trip to Atlanta. Yeah. But yeah, I'm just doing my best to focus on doing stunt work, and a majority of what I make from doing stunts goes back into stunt work. It's buying new pads from, Action Factory, or taking stunt driving courses in New Jersey, or taking, fight classes in New York, or going to Atlanta again and taking, fall classes. And that's just, for me, kind of, again, putting myself in front of stunt coordinators, I worked with this stunt driving coordinator in, Jacksonville, so I can put that on my resume. And it's definitely a process, but I'm loving every minute of it.
Because you've had, you said you worked as a chef. I know you worked at Defy Gravity, so you've had to take some other jobs to help pay the bills while you've been chasing these dreams.
Absolutely. And thankfully, I've worked with very, very wonderful people who know that, cooking or managing a trampoline park is not my dream, so they give me the time off to go out and pursue what I really want to do. And they're like, hey, I understand, take this time off, come back whenever you can, and, do your thing. What
did you being on Ninja Warrior do for Wilmington? Because I don't believe Defy Gravity was around when you did this, right?
It was not. When I got back from season 7, I had heard through, I think, the newspaper that they were building a trampoline park that would feature a Ninja Warrior course. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. I was looking for a job at the time. I'd just gotten back, and I was actually recovering from an injury, and I needed money really bad. So
we all do.
Yeah. And I contacted the owners at the time, and they knew who I was.
Sure.
And they were like, cool, come in for an interview. I was like, yeah, sure. And I got in, and they were, the owner, Paul, he played it very cool. He was like, yeah. And he was talking to me about the job and what I would need to do. And he's like, okay, let me be honest with you. I'm a huge fan of Ninja Warrior. You did awesome. This was just a formality to meet you. You're definitely hired. I was like, okay, thank you. Good. I need this.
Yeah, who else could bring that kind of qualification to something like that? When did you get into soul free running?
Actually, soul free running was started by friends I went to high school with.
Really?
Yeah. It was Kyle Hodson, was a Topsail High graduate and a friend of mine. And I met his partner at the time, Anthony, through doing stunts, and we all kind of hit it off. And I had trained in parkour when I was younger, but kind of fell away from it, and they got me back into it, and I absolutely love it. We actually teach classes at Gymnastics Unlimited in town several days a week, and any free time I get, I'm working on new moves and new skills that, one, are really fun, and two, that I can also put on my resume for stunts.
If you go to any of your social media pages, your Facebook page, your Twitter page, or anything like that, a lot of it is you videos doing some of these stunts and parkour and some of these things. I even saw where you went out and talked to some students in Brunswick County and showed them some of those moves. What was that like for you? Because I imagine they probably just sat there and ate that up with a knife and a fork and a spoon.
Most of the time they love it. It's a great time for them, for us, and we've recently gotten our parkour students, some of the ones who've been doing it for a while, we've got them included in our shows and our demonstrations, just to show the kids that it's not just adults who've been doing this forever that can come out and do this. Kids their own age who have been practicing and training really hard can get up here and compete with the adults and do just as well, if not better. We have a young girl named Katie who is a phenomenal gymnast and now parkour artist, and she is the best at handstands. She wins all of our handstand competitions ever. Yeah. When we're training at the gym and we're in class, I have the kids go down and do a handstand. I'm like, okay, Katie, you go down and back twice because that's too easy for you. And I absolutely love it. Doing the live shows for schools and churches and everything, that's my favorite part of being a part of Soul Free Running.
Because, and I would think, and again, correct me if I'm wrong here, with America's obesity issues today, getting any kind of athletics and demonstration, even if it's considered an art form over exercise, this is a workout opportunity for these kids. And Absolutely. Getting anything like that in front of a child, no matter the age, I would think has to stay with them on down the line. So you're doing health work along with doing artwork.
Yeah, we've partnered with Healthy Living NC. We go out to their events twice a year to promote healthy living and exercise. And anything to get kids off of video games and off the couch and from in front of the TV. What I like about parkour and free running, it looks really cool and it's really fun. And those kids who don't really want to play football or don't really want to play baseball and see these kind of moves on TV or in a video game, they're like, oh my God, that's awesome. Mm-hmm. I wish I knew how to do that. Well, that's not a problem. We can show you. Yeah. In a nice, safe environment, we can teach you to do these cool things that you see on TV that you want to do. And I love it when it sets a spark under them that they're like, okay, this is all I want to do. Let's jump around. Let's flip. Let's have fun. Because that's essentially what it is. They're playing, and they see it as playing. They see it as fun, but it is an exercise. You are working out, and it's a full body workout.
The Spartan Ultimate Team Challenge, you dedicated the effort to breast cancer. You obviously know the loss of breast cancer. My wife's a breast cancer survivor. We just lost her mother to breast cancer last year. How important was it to you to make sure people knew about your dedication to try to make sure breast cancer research was happening to try to help patients with breast cancer?
As you said, I definitely know that pain, and so did our teammate T, and our teammate Amber was also affected by breast cancer, and it's still such a big issue with so many women around the world. It's definitely something that every chance I get, I will shine a light on. I was in a horrific car accident about a month ago. We flipped and rolled about 200 feet and separated my shoulder and was all banged and beat up. And we had a 5K for breast cancer.
The Susan Komen race.
Yes.
Yes.
In where was it? Winston-Salem. Yeah. The very next weekend. And my fiance was like, we can cancel. We just got into a car accident. I don't think it'll be a problem for us to not go. And I told her there was not a chance that we were canceling. We were definitely, even if I had to walk it, if I had to crawl it, we're going to this 5K, and we're going to show our support. Mm-hmm. It's any and every chance I get to do something like that, I absolutely will.
My wife, again, I said, is a breast cancer survivor, and during that whole process, you learn something. You learn things about your own self that you never knew you thought you had inside you. As being one of the most disciplined athletes and artists that I know, and one of the strongest guys that I know, how difficult was walking that journey along with a family member? What did you learn about yourself during that?
That was probably the hardest thing I had ever done. I was I had just turned 18. I had graduated from high school a month before, and honestly, it broke me. It was very, very trying. I was 18. I was alone. I was on my own, and I did not handle it very well. But it took some time, but I managed to pick myself up. I surrounded myself with good people. A guy who's like my brother, actually at my mom's funeral, I did my best to be as strong as possible for everyone in attendance, my younger sister included, and I could not let myself cry. I was shaking hands and consoling people, and my Dominic, my brother, he saw this and he just broke down. He cried for himself. He cried for me at the loss of my mother, and that memory, that thought, that helped me get out of that dark time in my life. Mm-hmm. And surrounding myself with him and his now fiance and our good friends, that helped me get back into a healthy lifestyle and get back into working out. It's something that's never, when you feel that loss, it's something that never goes away. When you go through that, it was, I think a few months ago now, I was actually laying in bed and just thoughts of my life and where I am now, and that my mom isn't here to see the man that I became. I wasn't the greatest student. I wasn't the greatest son, but she believed in me, and she knew that I could achieve anything I wanted in my life. And I feel like I'm in a good place now, and I just wish she was here to be able to see where I am.
I think she's looking down and smiling pretty happy at the son the young man you've become.
I definitely appreciate that.
What's next for Solomon? I know you're going to continue to do some stunt work and stuff like that. What's next on your plate as far as any projects are concerned?
Well, there's a few projects coming to town, so I'm going to kind of try and slide my name in there. I know Swamp Thing is one of the TV series that's coming to town, and like I said, I'm slated right now to go take some extreme driving courses in New Jersey, and I'm just going to go out and gain some new skills and have some fun.
Well, it's been fun talking to you, and it was a blast. I know you had several opportunities to come into our studio, and we took pictures, and this town is proud of you and the things that you've accomplished, and I know an awful lot of people want to see you to continue to do well in the stuntman business, but don't get hurt, please.
That's definitely that's in the plan, to not get hurt, and this community from start to finish is absolutely amazing. I love the reception. Every time I come in here, you guys treat us so well, and I thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. And our community is always behind me and anyone from our community who tries to do well. They always lift them up, and I am always humbled by that.
Even though if you don't have the signature locks that you sported for so many years.
They can come back. They can always come back.
Good to see you again, Solomon. Thanks again. Congratulations, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you very much.
Big thank you to Solomon Harvey for sharing some of his time for this week's podcast interview. You could check out Solomon's videos and his work by following him on social media. He's very active on Facebook and on Instagram and on Twitter as well. Next week here on the podcast, someone who used to actually work right here in the WECT studios, Todd Lewis, the North Carolina native who now travels across the country working for the Golf Channel.
Yeah, I played golf. I thought I knew golf. And I realized immediately that when I walked into the Golf Channel and started working, that I had a high school diploma when it came to the game, and everyone there had a PhD. I didn't. They have a ladies European tour. I didn't know that, and stuff like that. And so it's amazing how much I have learned about players, scoring, clubs, you name it. That it's just crazy. I'm totally enveloped in the game, and I love it.
That's Todd Lewis of the Golf Channel, next week, right here on our podcast. If you know someone who you think would be a good interview for an upcoming episode, please send me an email. Let me know who it is. The email address is jevans@wect.com. And I'd like to hear from you on what you thought about this podcast or any of the other episodes you've listened to. Leave me a rating or a review. That will really help us when it comes to our recommendations for new listeners. I'm John Evans. Thanks so much for listening to this week's episode of One on One.